Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com.
I'm Bob, how's it going?
And Bob and I are here on a beautiful day at Stowe, and we are both testing these Fischer Ranger 94 FR. Pretty exciting stuff. It's the beginning of April right now, or I guess we're, what, 12 days into April? 11 days into April. But April is the Fischer month for our SkiHappy Photo Contest, so we're giving away a pair of these skis. There's a link in the description of this video to the contest page. Definitely encourage you to enter. Bob and I are having a blast on these skis. Just a lot of fun, super versatile. They do a lot of different things. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, they're very light, stable. You know, not a ton of snap coming out of the turn, but they're very, very stable.
Yeah, super fun. They feel like pretty stout underfoot, light in the tips and tails.
Yep. Nice
combination of performance. So we're gonna keep skiing, and we'll see you guys in the studio. Hey skiers, I'm Jeff. This is Bob. We're back here in the studio to finish up this review of the Ranger 94 FR. I had a lot of fun testing this ski, Bob. I don't know about you. Just a lot of fun. If you haven't seen our review of the 102 FR, definitely I encourage you to go back and look at that. That was kind of when they introduced this construction and this shape. So lots of info in that review about kind of the specific construction details, that kind of stuff. I would also invite you to check out our 2020 Fischer preview article and video that came out. Mike Hatrip is the Fischer product manager, legendary skier, and he kind of walked us through the differences between these and the TI line. So more in-depth stuff about the construction and differences in the lines in that video too, so definitely take a look at that. We'll do kind of a brief summary of the ski's shape and construction. Essentially, it's a wood core. You get a little bit of metal underfoot, and then you get Fischer's carbon nose, which has kind of become something that we see a lot. We're expecting to see it in their kind of all-mountain freeride skis. Very thin profile in the tip. Really cool construction, keeps swing weight nice and light, but also delivers good torsional stiffness up there in the tip, which kind of translates through the rest of the ski. But yeah, just really cool construction on these skis. And then the FR line has more of a turned-up tail, less metal than the TI, more tail rocker, pretty much a twin-tip shape. Which is pretty darn cool. Bob and I both spent a lot of time testing this ski. We skied it for the first time way back in December, but recently we've gotten back on it for a lot of days in a lot of different conditions. I was on the 177, Bob, you were on the 185, which is kind of corresponds to our size pretty nicely. So, Bob, I think we'll just start with groomers and kind of carving performance. I think it's important to note that their TI line is a little bit more geared towards power and precision. But that said, what did you think of these guys on groomers?
Very natural, easy feeling on the groomers. You know, you click into a ski and you can tell that it's going to be nice and stable. And you had mentioned the thicker sidewall underfoot, which, you know, you can tell right away when you put that thing on edge. You can feel it underfoot, you know, the metal and the thickness of that sidewall. You don't really notice the tips and tails so much, which is a good thing. And you know, I personally like skis you don't have to think about a whole lot, so it goes where you want it to go, which is a really nice thing. And we've talked about this turned up tail. It doesn't shoot you out of the turn like the Ranger TIs are meant to do. Definitely has more of a playful feel. It releases when you want it to release. The more energy you put in, the more you get out. But definitely underfoot, from the forebody through to the tail, solid, stable, and pretty damp, especially up here for not having metal throughout. So,
Yeah.
It was surprisingly awesome.
Yeah, I think it's impressive, and I felt this way about the 102 as well, but it's the performance that they achieve with this construction.
Yeah.
When you consider how light the swing weight is, and that's one of the first things I noticed in a ski is you click it onto your feet. You don't really have to ski anywhere to notice that it's super light on your feet. Considering that, it's pretty darn smooth, pretty darn powerful. You had mentioned that it has kind of a high performance ceiling in the sense that you can just keep giving it more and more and more, and it's going to hit levels that you didn't really know it had up until a pretty darn high level of ability, aggressiveness, power, whatever you want to call it. So, considering its twin tip shape, more of their free ride category, I think it carves phenomenally well.
Yeah.
And then, you mentioned releasing the tail edge. So those skidding kind of pivoting turns, what do you think of that performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. Like I said, it did what you wanted it to do. So when you wanted it to release out of the turn, it was a very instantaneous, like preternatural feeling, like boom to one, then to the other. It was a very quick transition, even without that abusive tail or a stiffer tail like some of the all-mountain competitors out there that have that full metal construction. So it's nice to have that ski that does what you want and doesn't fight back and is very smooth about it.
Yeah. I think I think they hit a nice balance with the shape of the tail and then kind of the torsional stiffness and edge grip that you get through the whole ski. Mm-hmm. It is easy to release that tail edge, but at the same time it doesn't feel like it's just going to keep going and like wash out too much. There's some give back from the ski, which creates a very fun, rhythmic feel that I really liked. I think it's, and I always like to throw around the word intuitive, and I think you do too, but it just has a very intuitive feel, especially on firm snow or really anywhere, which kind of brings it to the first time we skied it way back in December. It was a pretty good soft snow day, and that was when my first time on it. One of my first reactions was like, hey, this is a really good bump ski.
Yeah.
What do you think about mogul performance?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you combine this light swing weight tip with, a narrow 94 underfoot, not really narrow, but narrower than a lot of these free ride skis out there. So you really get that good, the tips will go where you want, and you're getting pretty good edge-to-edge quickness out of the waist of the ski. So it's, great mogul ski, not terribly stiff up here, so you can drive it into the bumps.
Yep.
And skiing pretty aggressively.
Fairly forgiving, but also hits a pretty high performance tier in terms of mogul performance. Mike Hatrip, I thought it was kind of funny, but he made some comment like he doesn't really spend much time in the moguls anymore because it's like too hard for him, which is silly because he rips.
Yeah.
But he was on these that day back in December, and he just looked like he was having an absolute blast. And I don't know exactly how old Mike is, but definitely less aggressive than he used to be.
Yeah.
But he was having so much fun on these. I think that performance translates to trees really well too. What do you think? You got it in the trees a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty firm the most recent day that we went out in the trees. But that said, you could still maneuver these things around really easily. And again, that turned up tail, when you're coming out of one turn and into the next, it's nice to have that ability to release that turn quickly and put them where you need to go, especially in the trees where you have to make those quick decisions.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely very maneuverable, and I wish there was more snow because I wanted to see how they floated, but they definitely cruised right through where we were, which was great.
So yeah, and I think that's bringing up soft snow is I think something that's worth talking about. There is a wider version of this ski, and then there's the 115 too. Mm-hmm. So if you're really looking for true soft snow powder performance, there are wider options here, which is definitely going to speak to some skiers out there. But I think here in Vermont especially, there's something to be said about skiing on a ski this narrow with this shape. It's still really fun in soft snow.
Right.
I kind of like being on a narrower ski on certain days around here because it makes it feel a little deeper. And you're getting more face shots. And I think the shape of this ski, even if you're sinking into the snow a little bit more than the 102 or definitely more than the 115, it's still very smooth, very fun.
Yeah, and that tip's pretty, that'll bring you right into a lot of deep snow.
Yep.
You're not going to get the same flotation out of the waist, but, we get a lot of people looking for that one pair of skis that does it all. And I definitely think that mid-90s underfoot is kind of right in that range. Whereas that 102 might be a little wide for your everyday ski, especially here in Stowe.
Yeah.
But this is a great middle of the road width and shape for those skiers that are looking for that one pair of skis.
Yeah.
That does it all.
And then kind of one thing that I just can't, personally, I can't ignore this about these skis. They are more of a twin tip than not. In the written portion of this article, I brought up a friend of mine who happens to also be a coworker, Noah. Basically, I'm a part-time free ski coach on the weekend, do a lot of slopestyle-based coaching. Noah is the head coach of the program, and he's been on Fischer for a really long time, and there were some years when he kind of had to balance his skiing between a narrower, really park-specific ski and then something wider that didn't have a twin tip, flat tail, whatever. He went through a bunch of different skis, but he was psyched when the 102 FR came out because it kind of gave him the ability to be on one pair of skis all the time. He can ski big mountain. He can take athletes into the woods and ski trees, and then he can also ski a little bit of park.
Yeah.
And he was lucky enough to get his hands on a pair of these. He's been skiing these for 3 weeks or so. And kind of it just took that and even enhanced it a little bit further. He's pushing 40. I think you and Noah are around the same age.
I'm over 40.
Oh, around the same age. And for somebody that age, park skiing is it's never easy, but as you get older, it's even harder and harder. And Noah's been having a blast on these. I believe he did mount them a little bit forward from the recommended line, which is something that I played around with too. This is a demo binding, so I put myself a little bit more forward in it, played around with how they perform skiing switch. But definitely the type of ski where if you kind of have a park background or you want to get into the terrain park every once in a while or just play and kind of do tricks off natural hits, really good choice for that. And it kind of feels like companies are starting to make more skis like that as the, whatever you want to call it, park skiing generation, whether it's my generation or yours or somewhere in between. As we age, we still kind of want that fun, playful ski, but more performance-driven than a traditional park ski. But yeah, Noah's been having a blast on them, so I thought that was something that we should touch on is they do have that ability to fill that role for a pseudo park skier, washed up park skier, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's the Ranger 94 FR. Anything you want to add, Bob?
No, I mean, most of my switch skiing comes inadvertently or in the woods or skiing with the kids and watching them going backwards, but it is a nice feature to have, just to have for a playfulness, or, I mean, it's useful in the woods to be able to, make one turn up, it's kind of a K turn and back down.
Yeah.
So you can find your own use for a turned up tail, whether it's park or just ending up backwards somehow. But yeah, just a great versatile ski that has high performance ceiling, and it just keeps bumping up. The more you put into it, the more it's going to put out. So it's just a really great balanced all around nice free ride ski.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I'll end with that I don't think we touched on yet, it is a twin tip, but there's also still that flat spot on the tail where you can put a skin clip on there. So it just is a nod to the versatility of these skis.
Yeah, it's another point.
Yeah,
carved turns.
Points. ski moguls, ski trees, ski
Yeah.
park, and then you could even use it as an alpine touring skis. So a lot of different applications for this Ranger 94 FR. As usual, let us know if you have any questions. If there's anything out there you want us to compare it to, which there typically is, let us know. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the slopes. We got, what, a week left of skiing here in Vermont?
Yeah, lift served.
So we'll be up there as much as we can over the next week. But we have a lot more content to share with you through the spring and summer and fall. So keep checking back, and we will see you guys on the slopes.